Hey, Doug Smith back at it again with my man Will Lowry. You know, I got a co-homie here. Hey, another episode of Beyond the Fairway. If you haven't heard, Beyond the Fairway, we bring a point of view from a completely different clubhouse. We'll go beyond the scores and the highlights to discuss the game of golf, its barriers for minorities, and it's this emerging new culture. Hey, coming up on this week's episode, Will and I are joined by former Duke basketball player and current ESPN analyst, my man, Will's man, our other homie, Mr. Jay Bilas, man. But other than that, Will, we out of the weekend, man. We here again. What a week. Another week of great golf.
Yes. We had another Jordan Spieth sighting. I have to say probably that Saturday was probably one of the more exciting Saturdays that I've ever seen from Jordan. Although he had some good Saturdays so far this year, my man had a hole-in-one and a hole out from the bunker. So that right there.
And he made like 79,000 feet of putts. Like he was rolling at that. That was a Jordan Spieth of old. And I am excited for this Masters, bro. I think he might be my pick, bro. I think he's the one I'm going with. Masters, Jordan?
I
green jacket.
Man.
He gonna put on the jacket? Just
yeah, man. I mean, it makes too much sense. Why not to pick him now? I mean, it's the ultimate comeback story.
Kinda. I don't know. Has he come back? I think so, a little bit, but I don't know if he's ready to cross that finish line and stick that chest out and hoist that hardware, man. Because Jordan, we've seen his name the last, I want to say 4 weeks for sure. We've seen his name right there come Sunday, but he hasn't been. He's like the new Tony Finau. Just seems to be right there and just can't get.
Tony.
You got to get over that hump.
Tony Finau's the greatest. So Tony Finau, I say within the next 4 tournaments, Tony Finau will win. We got one down.
And you lied to us all. You hurt all our feelings.
And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
The next 4. It was like 7. All right, look. Hey, regardless, you said he's going to win. Hey, but look, let me talk about this guy. The whole industry's talking about him. Golf is on fire with Bryson DeChambeau taking the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I can't even say that right. That's how my accent don't work for Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. But Bryson DeChambeau's a champ. And I tell you what, we all know the famous 6th hole there, the par 5 that wraps around the lake there at Bay Hill. And he made that hole look like child's play this week, Will. The last 2 rounds of golf he played over the weekend actually hit it. Most people hit it this way. Bryson hit it that way. And dude, I don't have any words to describe what
there was a picture I saw. I mean, well, they was captured where after he hit it, he did like he sent it, you know, and I was kind of caught or taken back. I'm like, where is this long drive? Like, what are we doing here? Like, you know, the fact that he sent it and I felt the energy with him. I was like, okay, we're moving into it. I feel like golf changed right then and there. I said, okay, now we're sending drives on the tour now. You know,
full send.
It did full send. You know, he double fisted it. Like I was like, okay. I was like, all right, man. Now we're going to a different era in golf right now, and it just happened here at the API.
Hey, but what I thought was interesting is if you look at Bryson coming off the 5th, there was a throng of people. You know, it's the first time we've seen people at an event in quite a while. I mean, I think this was the last event that was unaffected by COVID.
Right.
You know, last season. So 5,000 fans were permitted to be on the property. And Bryson even made mention that he heard some of the fans kind of like egging him on to where he was kind of like, okay, all right, let me go get this. Let me hit this thing. Yep. Hey, 194 ball speed on Saturday. Sunday comes back 196 ball speed, Will. That's Berkshire speed. Well,
right.
He's faster than that, but that's like he can go compete with Maurice.
It's up there. And I think that probably encompasses the sending it because you got 3,000 fans behind you, you know, egging you on. That probably explained where that come from because he wasn't sending anything when there was no fans, you know.
Hey, but for the record, he did hit it 88 yards away from the pin on a par 5 into a bunker. but he did miss the green. So I just want to say that with that second shot. That was really anticlimactic because it was like, yeah. And then he missed the green. It's like, come on, dude. This was not how this was supposed to go.
That's I mean, for a green miss right there, it should be a double whammy right there.
Absolutely not. But hey, we got your boy coming in here, man, here right now, here beyond the fairway. Jay Bilas coming in here to join Will and I. Will, this is your homie, man. This is your boy.
Man, Jay Bizzle is probably one of the most unique individuals ever because when you look at him holistically, from him being an analyst with Duke basketball, playing in the NBA at one point, short stint in the NBA, but playing in the NBA, and him as a friend, mentor of mine. He's an attorney, smart individual. I just love to hear him talk. And I know whatever we're about to talk about, it will not hold comparison to how he is on the golf course. The conversation we have. Yeah, but it'll definitely give some insight as to who he is, and you can see kind of his passion when it comes to certain topics. So it's going to be a good interview, I'm for sure.
Absolutely. As you know, Will. Everyone might not. Jay Bilas, huge fan of golf. But hey, without further ado, let's get right to it. We are going beyond the fairway with Jay Bilas.
Jay Bizzle.
Hey, Beyond the Fairway podcast welcomes in the one and only ESPN absolute legend, full GOAT, Jay Bilas. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing all right. You guys doing okay?
I mean, no complaints yet. It's the first time I've seen you without a golf club in your hand, because I know typically every Tuesday all I have to do is go to Charlotte Country Club on the driving range, and you're working with the up-and-coming great teacher, Jack Fields, who has done a number on your swing, and I'm starting to notice your divot pattern is getting a little different, man. I see the hard work. So are we getting work in for the?
I have been working.
So are we getting work for the American Century? Is that why this hard work is being put in?
It's for everything. Just because the pandemic actually has helped my golf game a little bit, because I've basically taken a lesson a week with Jack Fields, our teaching pro at my club. And part of it is my back is starting to feel better. I've worked on my back so I don't have to compensate for the pain. And the other part is he's helped me learn how to practice the right way and do the right things and self-diagnose some things. So, you spend so much time playing. Like, I'm not a real player like you are, but you spend so much time playing, and if you put in the right kind of work, it's just not enough to go bang balls at the driving range. You have to bang balls intelligently, and I didn't do that for the longest time. So,
Jay, I got to understand something. You're down in Charlotte Country Club member. You see Will Lowry on the range swinging backwards. Like, how is his swing received there in Charlotte? I got to get into it just a little bit, because I remember when I met Will, I was like, what the hell did I just see?
It's kind of like looking into the sun. You shouldn't do it for too long. But it is amazing, because the overwhelming majority of us can't make decent contact. Swinging the way you're taught to swing, let alone doing something like that. I mean, Will's a walking trick shot artist, just making what for him is a normal swing. But the beauty of it is he's an amazing athlete, amazing golfer. But better than that, the reason he's so well received is because cover his ears when I say this, because he's such a great guy. Just he's a joy to be around. So having him on the range, it's always fun just to watch him work and put his time in. But then he's so much fun to be around.
Well, I got a bounce check coming your way in a couple of days. So thank you for saying that. But hey, so
Well, notice I didn't say playing with him, because we played a fair amount together, and Will when he hits good shots gets a little mouthy, and that you gotta basically I have my AirPods in when I play, just so I can turn the music up after he hits a good one, so I don't have to listen to it walking to the next shot.
That's because my divots looks completely like an amateur, and I get upset because Jay got all the professional divots now. But Jay, I want to dive in a little bit on the get your take on the USGA and R&A announcement of the proposal of the new rules change when it comes to amateur status. What are your thoughts about players, amateur players receiving endorsements?
I think it's fantastic, and it's the way I think the world should be, both in golf and other sports. As you guys probably know better than I do, one, golf has had its issues just like everything else in our society, and some things that need to be modernized and changed, and that's great. I think there's an earnest effort going on in a number of different areas there, but on the amateurism front, amateurism is nothing more than an exclusionary practice. And it basically started, a lot of people would say ancient Greece, but started in Old England, where the elite in society just did not want to play against the common man, the unwashed masses. So it's sort of like an unpaid, the idea of an unpaid internship. Who can afford an unpaid internship to work for free? People who already have means. And so that's exclusionary in and of itself. So really what amateurism were the moneyed elites. The common man couldn't afford to play. If you had to be amateur and play, quote unquote, for the love of the game, you couldn't afford it. The people they didn't want to play against couldn't afford it. And so whether it was the Olympics or Wimbledon, things like that, it was an exclusionary thing. The reason that amateurism in golf can still work is sort of the idea that, if you're playing in your member guest, or if you're playing in the U.S. Mid-Am or something like that, they don't want Tiger Woods to be able to come and just rip everything up and win everything all the time. So it's sort of like a handicap system in a way. But even with that, Will, like you've got, you know this better than I do, you've got players that play quote unquote amateur golf that are already sponsored. That's all they do. They're kind of professional amateurs in that way. And that's a question of means too. And so like, to me, like you're a great example, like your love of the game, it hasn't waned or diminished in one aspect or one bit based upon, you having a sponsorship or you making money here or there. It doesn't work. That's not the way love of the game works. And there are a lot of pros that love the game way more than the amateurs do. And it's not that they love money. So getting rid of that idea that love of the game has to do with whether you accept money or not, I think is a good thing. And I applaud the R&A and the USGA for taking these steps.
Jay, I'm going to push back just a little bit. So let's say the next LeBron James come along, or the next Tiger Woods come along as a player. Let's give it age 11, 12, 13 years old, and he is projected to be one of the elites in golf. And we all know how companies are these days. They see something, they feast on that young man or young woman, and they want to make sure that they have some type of connection to them. So a kid who could be entering into college, who just received multiple endorsement deals, looked like he just walked out of NASCAR endorsement contract. What does that look like exactly? You think that can have some type of negative feedback when it comes to coaches and other players on the team, a kid who are receiving ample amount of money?
Are you talking about golf now, or just?
Yeah, I'm in the golf. I'm in the golf room now.
I don't see that being a problem any more than I do, college players now. The very best college players are darlings of the equipment manufacturers. Yeah. I was very fortunate. I've got a friend that works for an equipment manufacturer, and he invited me one day to their facility in California when I was out there. And, I went out there, I was really excited about it. The general public can make an appointment and pay a ton of money to do that. And here, this friend of mine, and I was tripping over college players there, and they weren't paying for anything. So you could argue now, wait a minute, is that right? But if you're looking at it through this virginal lens of amateurism, then you could say, well, that's wrong. But is there anything really wrong with that? I don't think there is. And I don't think athletes that are used to sort of meritocracies are gonna sit and go, wait a minute, Colin Morikawa's got a got an apparel deal or an equipment deal, and I'm barely in the rotation. Why don't I get that? You know, it's like the person who is a fantastic singer, saying, well, I sing almost as well as Beyonce. Why is Beyonce getting all the contracts and all the money? Well, it's because, being the super great is a little bit better than being great, and that's where the money goes. People don't seem to have a problem with that when it's some people get a scholarship and some people don't. And why are some people featured on the cover of a magazine and some people aren't? It's really the same analysis. And I'm a free market guy. I think that artificial barriers are bad things. I think they're bad, and not just that it would be better if it were this way. That if you're gonna as a rule, an industry-wide rule, limit people, you better have a damn good reason for it. And in this thing, they limit everybody, and then say later on, well, we'll tell you what little we'll provide you. And I've just never felt that's right.
So that's one thing I never understood, Jay, is how a college athlete, under the rules and regulations of amateurism as stated by the NCAA, how they can even receive like a sponsor's exemption. Like, you're getting a benefit for being a good college player. Like, in your opinion, like, is that an NCAA violation, or should it be? Or should we just say the hell with it?
Well, that's a good point. They make these arbitrary distinctions and carve-outs and exceptions. There are all kinds of things that you could say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't, amateurism at the beginning of things in the NCAA, like back in 1905, meant you don't get anything. Like, you don't get a scholarship, you don't get anything. And then they eased that up when they realized, look, if people have to pay for school and pay their expenses, that's going to limit what the more expensive schools can do with players. Mm-hmm. And so then, the scholarship, quote unquote, grant and aid came in, and all these other things. So amateurism to the NCAA is defined as whatever we say it is at a given time. There's no principle involved in it. The principle is just, it's our money. They even say now, like the USGA and the R&A are not suggesting to any player that if you do endorsements, that's gonna impact the endorsements we do. Amateur golf doesn't make any money. They're not selling this to the public and making millions or billions of dollars. College sports is selling this stuff, and so every apparel contract that a player would have in college, the system looks at it as like, wait a minute, those are dollars that would normally go in our pocket. And that's one of the reasons they're fighting this, is because they're like, well, that's our money that the players want to get now. And I don't look at it that way. I don't look at it as money belonging to anyone. I look at it as competition in the free market.
Yeah, because the NCAA scares me a little bit because of to the likes of what you just mentioned. They make it sound as if the industry is going to go belly up if they can't get the money that belongs to the athletes. Is that possible? Could the industry go belly up over that, or it's just a scare tactic?
No, it's a scare tactic, and it's just a tired old argument they've made that said, well, if and they made it with the Olympics, they've done it, with the reserve clause in baseball. Boy, if there's free agency in baseball, the game will cease to exist. The NCAA said back in the 80s, if teams and conferences are allowed to be on television whenever they want, nobody will go to the games anymore. The industry will wither and not wither and die, but the industry will be negatively affected. Our ability to make money, because back then they looked at the gate, the people selling tickets as being, the huge revenue, and they were totally, underestimating the money from television. And now all their money comes from ancillary rights. They still want the gate and still do everything they can to sell tickets for the highest possible price and get as many butts in the seats as they can. But television's what's driving this now.
Yeah.
So, all their arguments are designed and intentionally designed to say, hey, we know this better than you do. Nothing should change, but it doesn't bother them. Like nobody's saying, hey, if coaching salaries go way up, the public's going to be turned off, and this is really going to be hurt. That doesn't seem to bother anybody. Or if we sell this stuff for billions of dollars, the public's not going to be happy with this. Or if we fly our teams around on private aircraft all the time, people are going to start thinking they're pros, and this is really going to turn people off. It's more popular than it's ever been. It's making more money than it's ever been. And none of the coaches are saying, hey, let's go back to the old days when we only made $30,000 a year and we were looked upon like school teachers. They're not doing that. They're not saying that.
Right. Yeah.
You're right. So, you know, in January, NCAA was supposed to make a decision, take a vote on this. Why do you think they delayed it? Why do you think they pushed back their vote?
Because they don't want to do it, so they want to delay it as long as possible. There's a case called the Alston case before the United States Supreme Court that's going to oral argument in March. So they've been able to say, well, we need to wait till the Supreme Court decides this case. If the Supreme Court decides the case in favor, essentially, of the players, they'll come up with another excuse why they don't want to do it, and they'll be before Congress, which they have been, asking Congress to give them an antitrust exemption so they can do whatever they want, or asking them to pass favorable legislation that would preempt all these states that have passed laws that are favorable to the athletes. So on one hand, you're sort of saying, you know, they're sort of saying, well, judges shouldn't be involved in this. This is for the state, this is for the legislature. You know, we should be allowed to do this because we understand this. We being the NCAA. And then on the other hand, you've got all these legislatures all over the country saying, no, we get it. The athletes should get more, and here's a law that says they should get more. Yeah. And so, you know, essentially by these laws passing, the people have spoken, and they're for the athlete. And the NCAA is still fighting it. I just can't fathom, you know, sort of why they're continuing to do this. But look, it all comes down to right now the money's going in my pocket, and I want it to keep going in my pocket. And I'll fight as long as I can to keep it going in my pocket. And then if someday in the future, the longer I fight this, the more money goes in my pocket. So why shouldn't I? And that's basically what this is about.
Sounds like some other areas in our country right now, Jay. But hey, you said something interesting that I want to kind of unpack. And then because, you know, we go beyond the fairway here, you made a statement regarding the inclusivity of amateurism for the elite. Now, we all know that inclusivity is something that golf definitely lacks. So my question is, where are those parallels in basketball regarding the diversity of golf to basketball? Where are those parallels in diversity, and how can golf as well as basketball do better with their inclusionary practices?
Well, as you know, golf is an inherently expensive sport that requires a lot of time. And so there are things that that I think the game can do to grow the game, so that you have more people of you know, it's a socioeconomic problem as much as it is anything else. And we've got those problems in a number of different sports where the game changes based upon socioeconomics over time. And I'm certainly not a sociologist nor an economist, but I believe that golf, whether it be the R&A or the USGA, needs to continue to press forward on providing opportunities for those that cannot join a country club, that don't have the means to spend as much time on the game and equipment and all these different things. If you want people to fall in love with the game, they have to have access to it. And otherwise, it's just going to continue to be the wealthier among us that have access to the game. And how can we grow the game if there's not access? So access is number one. And then the other part is changing the culture of the club system and becoming more inclusive in that area. And it's hard to tell private clubs what to do. And I'm not suggesting we tell private clubs what to do. I'm suggesting that we continue to encourage, because look, it's easy to say this, but I do believe it's true. Diversity makes everything better. And there's not one thing that has not been made better by diversity, whether it's diversity in number, in thought, you name it. Everything's better. And so we need to continue to press that forward and to encourage people to do what we consider to be the right thing, and the right thing for continuing to grow the game. Because all these private clubs, the truth is, need members. And in the future, unless the game continues to grow, having members is going to be an issue. So we need to keep doing that.
So do you think that do you think that we are on borrowed time with this new movement, with this diversity and equity inclusion movement? Because a lot of these conversations were sparked because of the God rest his soul, the death of George Floyd. So do you think that we're on borrowed time from having this movement be implemented?
No, I think right now we're making better progress than we have, and there are more people aware of it. When I think in today's climate, you have a number of different perspectives. Some of them are unpalatable, to say the least. That the pushback in change that you're getting from a segment of our society is difficult to stomach. But it's something that has to be answered, and while it may be unpleasant to answer it, it's got to be answered, and we can do it in a way that is civil, but at the same time strong in conviction. The fact that it's not a good enough excuse anymore, and it was never a good excuse, but it's not an acceptable excuse to say now for a private club, well, we're having a hard time finding candidates. That's not good enough. And we as if you want to say as a game, we need to do better than that, because that's been said in the NFL, the NBA. It's been said in every segment of our society, and it's not good enough. And we can do better than this, and we should. And I know that's easy to say, as opposed to action on it. But I do think we're making some strides, but it's to date hasn't been enough.
Well, Jay, first of all, love everything you just said. Being a little. No, I want to go deeper, but we ought to keep you on time and keep Will on time. Y'all got tea times down there, so I'm a little upset about y'all, but it's cool. I can come down later. But Jay, no secret that you are a Jeezy fan. No secret. It's funny when you look at the different media sources, people don't really talk to you about Jeezy. But guess what? We're going beyond the fairway. You got two brothers in here, so let's unpack this. What is it about Jeezy that you love and are so moved to tweet about?
I just have always liked him. He's hard-edged and got a chance to get to know him a little bit. And so every once in a while he'll shoot me a text saying, hey, I got something new dropping. You want to put it out? Stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. And he's a good dude.
I just find it interesting. Like, you have been voted like one of the top 25 most influential people on Twitter. Jay's like the top 100 golf courses of Twitter. Like, what I'm saying? Like, with that kind of impact, Jay, are you mindful that you putting these quotes out? Do you care that you have this status? Like, how do you manage this Twitter life?
It's just, most of it's fun, and then I put out things that interest me. So I'll put out articles, things like that for people to consider. But most of what I do there's fun, at least fun for me. I don't know if it's fun for other people.
Gotcha. Hey, real quick, I know Will's got something special for you before we get out of here. I got to ask, and I want to be specific. I've seen you on different shows, and you always talk about Tiger and your pops and people who your favorite foursome would be. I want to know, who is Jay Bilas's rap foursome? Got to be rappers.
Jay-Z,
Yeah.
Jeezy, 2 Chainz, and then me.
I love it.
I've got nothing to say, Will.
Love it.
That's a dope foursome, like literally and figuratively. That's a real dope foursome.
Yeah, I love to see the conversation in that group, especially about trapping the ball and coming out of traps, sand traps. Yeah, all that. It'd be great.
Will,
hey,
so who would yours be? Who would yours be, Will? Real quick.
Man, mine would be, I'll probably go with Jay, Nas, and probably I wanted J. Cole, because he's from Fayetteville, North Carolina guy, and I think he's as deep as me. And I want to do a battle. I want to rap battle on the fairway, my all-time dream. So, hey, before we get you out of here, Jay, I have some young Jeezy. Well, basically, identify who is young Jeezy with these quotes. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 options and just name who it is, just to test your Young Jeezy knowledge. And if you win, I will send you a box of Pinnacles on me.
It's a good gift.
Deal.
That's a great gift.
Okay, all right. So first one, I bomb atomically. Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define how I be dropping these mockeries, lyrically performing armed robberies, and possibly they spotted me. Is that Young Jeezy?
No.
Okay. Nice.
Do you know who it is, Jay? Do you know who it is?
If you know this, Jay, don't answer if you don't know. If you don't say you plead the fifth, because you know you.
I don't. I could guess,
Okay.
but I don't.
Okay. So here's the second one. Good dudes, I know you love me like cooked food, even though I have to move like a crook move. We was together on the block since free lunch. We should have been together having 4 seasons brunch. We use umbrellas to face the bad weather. Now we travel first class to change the forecast. Do you know who that is? Is that Young Jeezy?
It is not Young Jeezy.
Okay. You're good, Jay. These Pinnacles may be coming your way. Top down, day sunny, still got a pocket full of yesterday's money. Every day, rain, snow, sunny. That's why I hustle nonstop. I want all my money. Now, is that Young Jeezy?
That is Jeezy.
You win. You got
Hey, Pinnacles coming to Jay Bilas. Hey, Jay, the first one was Wu-Tang, second one Jay-Z, of course, and the third was Jeezy. So, hey, thank you so much for blocking out this time to go beyond the fairway with Will Lowry and myself. Will, send Jay up out of here, man.
Jay, we greatly appreciate it, man. And
Good to be with you guys.
I see you on the range, and I got to go to work.
Hey, that was Jay Bilas going beyond the fairway. Hey, you know what, man? I almost was distracted the whole time because I thought I should be looking at a basketball game while he was talking. Like, you know, when you talk to the announcers that you've listened to your whole, you know, your whole life, and you actually hear them talking to you, it's almost like you're not even there. I'm like, where's the game? Like, what's he talking about? Like,
right. He didn't make no mention of bounce pass. He didn't do anything with a 4-corner, full court press, nothing.
No flex offense, nothing like that.
Right. Look at you know your who flex offense.
Hey, don't get it. See, this is
you just
this is about Jay. This ain't about.
I don't take you as a hooper.
All right, well, you better check my background, cuz. But hey, look, you know one thing Jay Bilas makes probably a point that echoed with me was the fact that diversity makes everything better, right? I mean, that you need diversity to be your best self. And I think that just goes with kind of our whole premise of the show, Will. Like, you know, this game needs to be heard from different viewpoints because we all have a different way and some other things that we identify with golf. And Jay hit the nail on the head, man.
Right. Yeah. And I think when we talk about diversity, making everything better, inclusive, man, it would just make it easier for everybody.
It's got to be easier.
It transition from from the holistic part of the game, from the manufacturer, from the club pro. I mean, the diversity will make everything easier. But one of the things that really kind of stood out to me was I somewhat maybe have to disagree with Jay when I asked him, you know, are we on possibly borrowed time? You know, as far as implementing, you know, some of the changes that we would like from a systemic standpoint, are we on borrowed time from getting these things implemented and grooved to where we can have this game be sustainable and the picture looks the way that we want overall.
Yeah.
And I think there is a borrowed time. He says no, but you know, if history repeats itself, and I know this is to a much less degree from what we were faced with George Floyd. But you know, we think about the Reconstruction period. The Reconstruction period was a time that America almost got it right. That's when they were trying to figure out at that time in society how to weave African Americans in society. You know, at one point, African Americans were elected officials on the local, state, and government level. There was times that we were trying to figure out business owner integrations. Everybody was together in school,
everywhere.
But at one point, it just stopped. Conversation ceased, and so I don't know if the events of George Floyd, obviously, it opened the door for us to have conversations. It's opened up the door for talk about diversity, equity, inclusion around different genres around what's going on in the world today, i.e. golf. But do we have a short period of time to get this thing right? You know, and and sometimes it makes me think that because we know when there's two Americas, we know when it comes to golf, there's two Americas, right?
Maybe three, right?
Maybe three. So, just for example, like when Kamaiu or Willie Mack missed a cut, we see the comments,
Yeah.
and I just want to make sure that we're steadfast in growing this game and doing it right and implementing these changes so one day we just don't wake up and be like, what happened?
Well, I'm gonna wake up and be black tomorrow, so I'm gonna still fight this fight regardless.
Right, but think about it though, Doug. You fight the fight, but you can't fight the fight alone. Yeah. And that's one thing that I'm fearful of. I kind of want to kind of touch bases on the coverage of Kamaiu Johnson this week at the API. Wasn't much coverage.
What was there to cover? I mean, and I don't mean to be a hater. I don't mean to hate or be rude. But when we're watching golf and we're fans, you want to see who's vying for the title. Now, I get it. Kamaiu was there. It was, he was there. I'm happy he received the exemption. But why does he deserve the time on air if he's not competing for the championship? I mean, he was competing, but he wasn't near the top of the leaderboard.
Because Kamaiu is just a byproduct in this whole thing of growing the game, Doug. It's not about Kamaiu shooting good scores. I know to a certain extent it is, but it's about growing the game as a whole. If he shot 4 or 5 under the first round, then I feel you. Like, it's a moot point. But it's not a moot. It's not a moot point because if we're going to commit. If we're going to commit to growing the game from the network, from golf manufacturers, we have to make sure we're with Kamaiu through the good, the bad, the ugly. There's a way that production can possibly massage his story. There's a way that we can really amplify and speak to, hey, it's tough out here being on a PGA Tour. It's tough out here. We know Kamaiu is out of his element. But the thing about it is, if
you want to see him shoot what he shot on TV.
No, but that's what I'm saying. We don't have to watch every shot in every 95 that he may throw up. We don't have to. But the fact is, if we can sit here and showcase a little bit of Kamaiu, that image of a African American minority individual on the PGA Tour swinging a golf club, it does wonders for it. It does wonders for it. It can spark something. And if we're going to commit to this game and growing the game, I just think that we shouldn't take weeks off. We shouldn't take weeks off, and we got to be with Kamaiu through the good, the bad, the ugly. One of my mentors, Sterling Sharp, says change takes time, or it doesn't happen at all. And I just think that
I can't be. Look, let me tell you something. As a golf fan, you'd rather see Kamaiu make a bogey than Spieth hole in one. Is that what you're saying?
No. But I'm not saying that, but I would like to see Kamaiu out there swinging it on television. Because you got to think about it, Doug. And I can't speak for you, but I can speak for me. When I used to sit on the couch and watch Tim O'Neill, he was last place too, damn it, at times. But when I used to watch Tim O'Neill on the Nationwide Tour, which is now Korn Ferry, when I used to watch him swing the club, that did wonders for me. When I used to watch Tim O'Neill have an interview with the African American analyst Brandy Seymour, that did wonders for me. That was right there was growing the game. They may not know what they were doing, but that right there was growing the game, right?
I don't disagree with that point. I think that's a great point. You want to see people that look like you doing what you want to do, and it doesn't have to be for all 84 strokes, but I do believe it could have been it could have been massaged a little bit better, in my opinion. But all right,
that's just me.
To Jay's point, this game is built on exclusionary tactics. This whole notion of amateurism. Unpaid internships, as he liked to make the analogy. Hey, look, to play golf at the highest level, Will, we all know this. To play in the biggest amateur events, you've had to play well in the biggest amateur events. You know what I'm saying? So how are you supposed to even get into those things, right? So I do agree with Jay's point. I do agree with your point. We do need to be more inclusive with the coverage. But let me tell you something. His story, him being seen would be a hell of a lot more impactful if he was near the top of the leaderboard.
No question. I
mean,
don't.
that's my point. I agree with you, but that's my point.
I don't disagree. But from a sponsorship standpoint, I think it'll be good to it'll paint a perspective, and we can massage the narrative that it's tough being out here. Look at this guy fighting through a good fight with him shooting a double.
I look forward to this part of the week, man. I was looking forward all weekend. I was looking forward, but guess what? Here it is. It's time for the Shank of the Week.
Shank of the week. Who you got this week, bro?
Man, you know what, man? Let me go ahead and get it out of the open. I did not appreciate the 1990 Arnold Palmer Invitational champion, Robert Gomez, going out and shooting a wad. You know what? I said it last week about Matt Wolff, so I'm going to say it again. Robert Gomez, you mailed it in. Why is he mailing it in? Like, look, do you understand how bad you have to play? I don't care if you're playing your local muni track. I do know that Bay Hill was playing very difficult and hard. But this man shot 92. 9-2. A former PGA Tour winner goes out to a tournament that he's won in the past and shoots 90 deuce. Look, let me say this. This is his start on, look, you know what? Before I even say that, goes out, shoots 79 on Friday or Thursday. No big deal. Thursday, you didn't play well. You know you're already up against the wall. I don't know if you're going to make the cut. I doubt it with that 79. But this is how this guy came back on the front nine. Bogey at 1, double at 2, bogey, 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 double par, bogey, double. 47, 11 over par on the front nine. And rather than fight back, my man said to hell with it. 4, 7, 7, par, bogey, double, par, par, bogey. What in the world? That equals 92. Hey, but rather than be a G, rather than own it, rather than bring this in here, Will, and just, you know what, I did that. No, this man said, you know what, let me sign for a 76 and let me roll up out of here with this DQ. You know what, I was so excited because Kamaiu was finally going to beat somebody on the PGA Tour, but because he freaking DQ'd himself and in-seed, this man finished DFL again. So I'm upset about Robert Gomez. Hey, look, you know what, that's not even... I'm so mad.
In all fairness, Doug, in all fairness of your Shank of the week,
I'm mad.
He had one of the dopest wins ever in capturing a victory.
Yes, it was a dope win.
But that allows him to shoot a 90 at the event.
92.
It offsets, bro. It offsets.
21 years later, it offsets. What the hell?
Yeah. If you hold it out from the fairway on Greg Norman, that offsets. That's fair. Me hold out on Greg Norman, major winner. I can shoot 195 if I want to.
Hey, signed for a 92. And matter of fact, said it was 76. Got his ass DQ.
And for the record, it was 31 years later.
Hey, I do want to also add that the Shank of the Week should have been Justin Rose, who actually hit a shank this week. But I just wanted to mention that too. But hold on, this is it. Let's see, Will.
So,
I've been waiting all week for this moment. All week I've been waiting.
My Shank of the Week. Let me give a little backstory first. Have you ever watched a TNT telecast where there's a segment that Shaquille O'Neal it's called Shaqtin' the Fool, right?
Yeah, I seen that. Shaq the Fool. Yeah.
And there's always one guy that he tries to stay away from, but the guy just keep giving him ammo to bring him up and re-encourage segments. Every segment. Mm-hmm. That's JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee just always does something, and Shaq always bring him up as one of the leading roles in Shaq the Fool. Well, I have an understanding what Shaq is going through because my Shank of the Week is Kamaiu Johnson.
Back-to-back Shank of the Weeks.
I don't think it can. I think this is the only time it's ever going to be back-to-back Shank of the Week. So where I'm struggling with Kamaiu Johnson is the fact that the robot didn't work. The robot did not work. I think it shows somewhat of the immaturity as to him trying to implement new swing, and he's grabbing his robot, and he said, this robot is going to get me to the promised land a week and a half before the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That's not going to happen. So therefore, but the real thing that really gets me was after he shot that first round, was it 84?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Doug, my man post a video on a story of him eating steak and crab legs. According to Kevin, it was an elaborate meal. According to Kevin Hart, that looked like fun was happening in the background. I'm not saying the guy was smiling. I'm not saying the guy wasn't disappointed over his tumultuous round. I'm not saying he wasn't bothered. But from the perspective of a fan, it looked like he was having fun. You know, you can't and when you eat steak and crab legs, it means you're settled. It means I'm okay. I'm content with what's going on. Because you can't be mad. Nobody eats steak and crab legs mad. That's like you can't eat ice cream mad. Those are three, food items you can't eat mad. And so therefore, I'm thinking he was content. What I think him and his team should have maybe considered, perhaps, after a bad round, give me a picture on the driving range. Give me a quote. I had a tough day today, so I'm about to eat McDonald's hamburger because I don't deserve a steak and crab legs. So I'm a little bothered by that. But now it leads me to this, Doug. It leads me to this. I got an idea. Okay? My idea is this, Doug. My idea is hashtag Kamaiu, you need to pass that thing to the left. Ask me what I'm talking about. Let me say it one more time. Kamaiu, you need to pass that thing to the left.
What does that even mean?
Kamaiu, you need to talk to Honda and tournament directors and have a phone call with Willie Mack and pass that exemption to the left.
Is that something you can do? Can you pass
I never not seen it done. I never not seen it done because Kamaiu has had his chance in sniffing the PGA Tour. We know the guy can play. We know the guy is capable of being out there. But right now, he looked like he's out of his element. He's nervous. We can tell. I even talked to his coach, Andy Walker. Andy Walker said that Kamaiu was striping the ball just prior to the robot expedition or whatever. And he said he just kind of not in his right mindset. So right now, I believe that Willie Mack is more experienced. We need to pass that thing to the left.
Look, I get it, man. Look, I understand what you're saying. But at the same token, man, and this is what they going to say, and I'm going to say it here first. Willie also missed 2 cuts on the PGA Tour.
No, but Willie only got to have 12 holes as a practice round because he came down with COVID. And we need to get the facts checked, but I think Willie may have had more birdies in 2 rounds than Kamaiu have had in his 4. I don't know.
They both played 4.
They both played 4. They both played 4 rounds.
Yeah, and
okay, it's even worse. They have 4 rounds. So Kamaiu may have had more birdies. Excuse me, Willie may have had more birdies than Kamaiu had in all of his 4 rounds as well.
So is the Shank that he needs to pass the tournament, or is the Shank that he played like
the Shank? No, the Shank it's a barrage of Shanks. It's cornucopia of Shank. It's cornucopia of Shank feelings. For one, I shouldn't have seen that you had a steak dinner and crab legs. It looked good too, and macaroni and cheese looked real good. Not like my grandmama's, but it looked good. But I also shouldn't have seen. And think about it real quick before you go. I know it's crazy, but
before I go,
but the thing is, Bryson DeChambeau, top 5 in the world, was on the driving range at night, grinding his swing. Why wasn't Kamaiu somewhere trying to hone in at 84 and get that thing down to 74?
Hey, that's his town. He lives in Orlando. He could have been somewhere else. He could have been on a range somewhere. I'm not playing that. I understand what you're saying, but I like to think after 84, you don't just go home. You need to go work on some stuff.
And you don't go have the steak dinner, man, because I know it's a hard day, but you don't have the steak dinner. So I just think that we need to get a hashtag Kamaiu Shank, pass that thing to the left. I love you. You're my brother. But I think that Willie Mack is in a position to where he can absolutely really take advantage of this. You still got some Corn Ferry events coming up. So let's go ahead and pass that thing to the left, man.
Hey, it's been a while, Will, since we've seen Ben from Crenshaw. I do know that you said he was at Augusta a couple weeks ago. Hey, can we get him back in here? Can we see Ben? Did he hit you up on LinkedIn? Because I heard that y'all had some communication.
Yeah, he did, man. He did. He said that he kidnapped a fish from Augusta and put it in his golf bag. I don't know why he's flipping it. He says it's a market for Augusta fish. I don't know what he meant by it. However,
It's like Dover Soul.
right. So, however, whatever he's talking about, I'm sure he may come over and explain it. But I definitely give him a call. Maybe we can get him out here in the next episode for sure.
That's what's up, man. Looking forward to hearing from Ben. But hey, everybody, thanks so much for listening Beyond the Fairway. Hey, remember, subscribe, download wherever you get your podcast. Also, you can check out Golf Channel YouTube page to see us on Peacock too. Hey, if you like what you're hearing, you like what you're seeing, please share with your circles, man. Hey, we'll be back next week to go Beyond the Fairway once again. Hey, love y'all. Holla. Will.
Here's my Bryce DeChambeau. I'm gonna send it.
You gonna send? We'll send it like DeChambeau. Send it to the next week, Will.
Send it next week.